Hi, my name is Emma Clements. I'm on the VCU field hockey team and part of Virginia Finest Ambassadors. And today we're here at Jody's Gourmet Popcorn Manufacturing Company, and this is Jody.
Hi, and I am Jody Wagner. I'm president of Jody's Gourmet Popcorn, and I am thrilled to have the Rambassador here.
Tell me the story behind Jody's Gourmet Popcorn. How did it happen? What's the brand? Tell me everything.
Okay, so it started out in 2005. I decided that I really thought Virginia Beach needed fresh caramel corn. And I called a client, I used to be a securities lawyer, and I called a client that had done theme parks. And I said, how do I make gourmet popcorn in a big way? So I went to Orlando and I went to a theme park trade show, and I met the companies that made the popcorn equipment. And I described what I wanted it to taste like. I said I wanted it to be really indulgent. You know, I don't want it to taste just like any caramel corn. I want it to be really, really great. They said, oh, no problem. Just use our mix and add an extra stick of butter. So we put a popper and a caramelizer in our garage. We made the first batch with the guy from the concession company. And he said, your future. And it was horrible.
Oh.
And my husband and I looked at each other, it was like, we are in so much trouble.
Yeah.
And at the time, I had to leave for a work trip. So I kissed him goodbye the next day and I said, honey, I am sure you'll figure it out. And I came back a few days later and I walked in and I said to my teenager kids, I said, so I'm gonna make dinner. And they were like, oh, we can't eat anything. And I said, why not? And they said, oh, we've been eating caramel corn all day. I said, what? They said, Dad's in the laboratory. So I go out to the garage, and my husband, who is a scientist background, he's a physician, and he has turned the garage into a science lab. He has books that he's gotten, he has a heat gun for measuring the caramelizing temperature, and he has 20 bags of popcorn around the perimeter, and he was on batch 21. And it was pretty decent, but we're sort of perfectionists. So we would take 30 and 31 to our daughter's volleyball game and 33, 34 to our son's baseball game. And everybody would fill out a form and they'd say, too salty, too sweet, too this, too that. And when we got to recipe 53, they said, this is fabulous, don't change anything.
Love that.
So we sell recipe 53 caramel corn.
So it's cool to hear you started in a garage, and now here you are. We have this whole facility. What was your moment, your I made it moment?
You know, what really has happened is each step has been a progression. And every time you do something, you think, oh, well, I'll never get to the point where I'll need that. Like when we moved into this factory, we thought, we're never going to use the whole thing. And now we filled it up pretty much.
So can you tell me a little bit more about the popcorn making process, like what goes on in the factory?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, you've got to understand, when we started out, we were a retail store, and we worked in a caramelizer that was literally this big. The demand kept increasing, we kept growing, and now our caramelizers are so big that you and I could stand in them.
Wow.
And it's really changed the ability of what we can do and how many stores we can service and how many people we can get popcorn to.
And you sell so many bags of popcorn. Which flavors are the most popular?
So caramel corn is the #1 flavor, followed probably by double cheddar, and then it's sort of a tie between birthday cake and kettle corn.
So what does it mean to you to be a part of Virginia's Finest?
By being a Virginia's Finest company, it shows that you really take quality to concern, and a Virginia Finest company really is the check of quality. And in fact, if you look at the logo, it is a check with a VA on it.
Yeah. So what makes Jody's popcorn so much better and different than everyone else's popcorn?
It's really indulgent, like it's very thickly coated. If you look at the popcorn, you'll see that every kernel is covered. And we don't have the little fines that you have, like a lot of popcorn, you'll buy a bag and you get to the bottom and there's all this junk at the bottom. We actually sift all that out, so it's good to the very last kernel.
That's awesome.
So it's really part of the whole quality thing. We view ourselves as an indulgent gourmet brand, and we don't try and compete with the standard popcorns that you buy at a 7-Eleven.
Wow. So if you were to make a VCU popcorn, what would it look like?
Oh, it would definitely be golden brown. No question.
What would it taste like? What would the flavor be?
So my son went to VCU, and his favorite flavor is caramel corn and cheese.
Oh, that's
so
perfect.
we probably would do that mixture.
I love that. I need some of that.
Okay, we can work that out.